Hey guys, we're back today with another market recap. Today we're breaking down what happened in August. From tender volumes to tariffs, fuel hikes, back to school demand, it was a month of movement, so let's dive into it. On the demand side, we saw a seasonal surge. Back to school retail shipments, late summer produce harvests, and even early hurricane seasonal disruptions all drove activity. Overcapacity is still hanging over the market. Tender volumes were down roughly 6 to 10% compared to last year, meaning there are still more trucks than freight in many lanes of the marketplace. One of the biggest challenges still shaking things up is the ELP, English Language Proficiency Mandate, which officially went into effect on June 25th. Early signs suggest it could sideline up to 10% of drivers, if not more. On the cross-border and global trade front, the 25% tariffs on Canadian imports have stabilized, but there is a curveball. A temporary 90-day tariff reduction on certain Chinese goods has fueled import volumes into the United States, into specifically port areas, which has driven more competition in intermodal and drayage related areas. Diesel prices have been up 30% since May, which is also a big cost burden for carriers. Naturally, the pressure is flowing into rates, especially in marketplaces where capacity is somewhat tight. For shippers, the takeaway is pretty clear. This is the window to secure contracts and capacity before the Q4 holiday peak season. So from what we saw in August, capacity is still loose overall, but headwinds are building. Seasonal demand, regulatory changes, tariffs, rising fuel costs are all shifting the balance. The market feels like it's gearing up for a tighter and more expensive Q4. Let's talk about what we're expecting in September. In Canada, market should remain relatively stable, but the ELP enforcement can continue to reduce the driver pool by up to 5 to 10%. At the same time, export growth is supporting volume. Rail operations look relatively steady, which may ease some pressure on the trucking market. Still, rising carrier expenses could mean modest rate increases as we move through the month. On the cross-border front, holiday import surges are expected to tighten northbound capacity into Canada, and the elimination of Section 321, effective August 29th for all countries and May 2nd for Chinese origin goods, has major implications. It's creating challenges for cross-border freight between the eastern United States and eastern Canada. The removal of duty-free entry for shipments at $800 or less is going to eliminate some cost savings for shippers of lower value goods, which could potentially reduce LTL traffic southbound. Now, for the US domestic market, we'll see a continued ripple effect from the ELP enforcement and the Chinese tariff reductions, but both are expected to boost intermodal demand. Over-the-road demand is expected to remain stable, but could face some challenges in Q4 as well, with hurricane season entering full swing. Flatbed demand is already climbing, and if storms hit key areas, we could see regional rate spikes, especially in the southeast. If you're a shipper, now is the time to secure contracts and capacity while rates are still relatively competitive. If you're a carrier, be strategic with your network and brace for volatility in certain regions while focusing on finding key partnerships. We will be back next month to break down September's results and preview October. Until then, stay safe, stay sharp, and keep the freight moving.